Many of you know my next guest. This is Doug Weaver. Doug, thank you for speaking with me today.
My pleasure, Bethany.
Okay, you're going to be giving a presentation shortly that a lot of us are really looking forward to. Give us a little secret preview. What are a couple of your main points?
So the core of what I'm going to talk about is what I call the changing of the guard. And the idea is that the person who may have been the best seller on your digital team in 2008 may be a liability today, because the marketplace has changed so dramatically that an awful lot of skills have gotten dated, and quite frankly, a lot of sales leaders are paying premiums for people whose skills may well be out of date.
Wow. How do we diagnose this? How do we deal with this?
Well, what I'm going to talk about today is the fact that it's a mistake to think about there being one sort of perfect digital seller. Digital sellers are now going to break into two very distinct camps. One of those is going to be the audience seller, and the other is going to be the experience seller. And these two skill sets are going to differ and diverge even more as time goes on, because we really have to start to recruit to those specific positions. Organizations need to make choices about which of the positions they're going to value in the organization, and then they need to sort of train and retain.
Okay, so if I'm heading up a team and I'm working on recruiting and training for 2012, what are, let's say, 3 skill sets that I need to be really focused on right now?
Well, I hate to say any answer that begins with "it depends," but it depends. So if you're banking on being really an audience sales organization, if you're really selling audience segments and you're selling efficiency and reach against specific audience segments, and you're using data as a driver and so forth, then I think you need to get people who have the technical chops and the digital acumen to really talk the talk and walk the walk with the agency trading desks, with the automated side of the business. So I think that over time, you end up going from sort of like a media salesperson to more of kind of a sales engineer. And you really need to be trying to get your organization out of that sort of day trader mentality and start to figure out who are the people that are going to help me really set my system in place for these agency trading desks and holding companies. So, because you want to go for hegemony, you don't want to be like a player and option. You want to be sort of like the dominant option.
Absolutely. Okay.
Now, on the other hand, if your focus is going to be on really selling experiences to marketers, so you've got content, you've got sponsorships, you've got experiences that you can integrate the marketers into, which is a whole different side of the business. Then you need people who have creative capabilities, who think like marketers. So you're hiring marketing experience. You might maybe getting people who are former account executives, account supervisors from agencies. You may be hiring former product people.
Right.
So my point here, my overriding point is that we can't keep sort of bidding up the price of that digital salesperson from 2008.
Right. Right. In fact, you said the wrong person can be a liability. Kind of sounds like there's a story there. What have you seen?
My practice, I've worked with probably 10,000 salespeople over the years across close to 500 companies. So there's not a lot of salespeople that I haven't had a chance to probably interact with one-on-one at some point. And I've just seen the industry change so dramatically, and the nature of what we do change so dramatically. But we're on our sort of 3rd or 4th major iteration at this point. So I think that you get that person whose skill set kind of matured and ripened in 2006, and they can become a big roadblock. They can become a big impediment to what you do as an organization. They can be the big no in the middle of the room all the time about what can't be done.
Well, it sounds like a leadership issue and a business issue as much as it is a digital marketing issue.
Oh, it's a huge leadership issue. I think that the leaders in our industry have to really make those decisions. They have to sort of give their organization clarity about what we do and who we serve. And unfortunately, I think you have, too many companies, too many leaders react to change by trying to cover all the bases. Right. So what I like to say is that great organizations have one thing in common: they all make choices.
There's a lot of truth to that. I've been speaking with a lot of people lately about the backgrounds that digital marketing people have right now. What do you think is the ideal background? That said, I've been speaking with people who are coming in from the analytics side, people who are coming in from the marketing side, even people coming in from the business side. Where do you ideally want people to come from?
Again, it's another one of those. It depends.
Of course.
It depends on which way you're betting. I mean, if the future of your sale is sort of process and analytics driven, then you're going to heavy up on one side. If it's more sort of marketing depth and integration driven, you're going to heavy up on the other side. So I think that there is no ideal seller, there is no ideal kind of team profile. What you really are looking for is kind of an impressionistic mix of the right talents.
Yeah.
So I think what a great leader does is they set the vision for their organization. What a great manager does is figure out, how do I blend the talents together in this organization around the issues that our customers really have.
Yep.
And I think right now we're still in the process of really defining who our customer is going to be. I think most of our industry is organized around the idea that our customer is the digital agency. It's the buying group within the digital agency. And that's such a small part of the future, I think.
It's interesting. I think one of the things I hear you saying is we might all be looking for shortcuts, the right tools, the right campaign, but we still need to rely on building a good relationship and a good reputation with our agencies and our vendors and even people within our organizations. So it's fun that the tools are almost making us honest all over again.
I think that, one of my clients said something recently I thought was pretty provocative. There was one of the conversations at an event I was hosting centered on remnant strategy and what's your DSP strategy and how are you going to interact with the trading desks and so forth. And he said, gee, it's funny that we end up spending 70% of our time talking about like the least valuable 10 or 15% of our inventory, right? And he says, where's the conversation about how we're going to create value? And I think that's a great place to start, is to say, what wouldn't have existed if we hadn't been there. Right now, a lot of the product vendors are dictating the terms. Yeah. Right. So it's like because there's a firefight between a couple of between a couple of ad attribution companies or between a couple of ad server companies, we all think it's important. Yeah. Because everybody in the trade writes about demand side platforms and trading desks, we assume that that's the story. But I think that like this all just looks like a very kind of noisy, little sideshow over here to the marketers. The marketers are trying to move product. They're trying to drive engagement with their customers. Yeah. They're trying to figure out the cross media future, and I think that there's bigger work we can do. Interesting. Okay, very last question. Look ahead with me about 2 years in the future. What is this experience going to be like? Are our strategies going to get deeper? Are they going to get wider, or both? I mean, are we going to look a lot deeper into our analytics and just try to hone our messaging, or are we going to be trying a lot of new things? What do you think it's going to look like 2 years from now, knowing that that's a long time in digital marketing? So 2 years from now, I think that the side of the business that's focused on driving reach and sort of the plumbing of the business is going to consolidate. I think there'll be like, there'll be fewer channels that will be bigger, right? So there'll be a handful of like massive players, massive networks, massive exchanges that will come to interrelate with each other. So that part of the business will just sort of really consolidate and get a bit more sort of predictable and a bit more orderly. I think on the other side, the creative, analytical kind of marketing side of the business is going to be like a renaissance. Right. And I think that it's going to be a race to the heart and mind of the marketer, and whoever gets closest to the marketer and thinks most like a marketer in that world is ultimately going to win. Interesting. Doug, very fun speaking with you. Let's do this again soon. I would love to. Thank you, Bethany.